Firearms Friday on the Michael Duke Show.
Well, you'll probably want the accessory kit, holster,
Oh, yeah.
bandolier,
Maybe.
silencer, loudener, and this is for shooting down helicopters.
Oh, I don't need anything like that. Yet.
On KBYR, Alaska Talks Here.
AM 700 KBYR News Time is 6:20 a.m. The Michael Duke Show continues. We've got more coming up, including Sheriff Jim Wilson and Rob Pincus in the next hour. But first, Dean Hazen, 16-year active police veteran. He's a master firearms instructor, law enforcement, NRA certified instructor, Glock armorer. I mean, this guy does it all, and has served the community of Urbana, Illinois for many years. The Gun Experts Incorporated is a company founded and run by Dean, and they offer firearms training and to all different kinds of folks. In fact, he was recently covered in a local news story talking specifically about his training course.
How to safely carry a concealed firearm is one of the main components of the class. The instructors make it clear that while carrying a firearm is a right, it's also a big responsibility.
One mistake with a firearm and life will never be the same. You could kill somebody else, you could wound or kill yourself, you can be sued. All kinds of bad things can happen.
The idea of stopping something bad from happening is what drove many of the 38 people to this class.
Dean Hazen joins us now on the big radio broadcast. Good morning, sir. How you doing?
Good morning. I just want to know why it's 5 below down here and 30 degrees there.
Hey, you know what? It's clean living, my friend. Clean living is what gets us done. It's that global warming. I'm so happy for it. I just don't even know what to say. I really kind of want to talk about it because in the news report there, you just hit it. I mean, in a second, when it is every American's God-given right to keep and bear arms, to go forth armed. But that's not something that should be taken lightly. It's not a commitment that you just make on the spur of a moment and say, I think it's going to be cool to carry a gun. I'm going to be the small town hero when something bad goes down. There's a lot of thought that really needs to go into it because there's consequences. There's all different kinds of things that have to happen. But you really touch on that one thing, that in that one instance, your whole life can change, somebody else's whole life can change, and so we need to be safe about what we're doing when it comes to carrying a firearm on a daily basis.
That's 100% correct. I like to compare it to, riding a motorcycle or piloting a small aircraft. The minute you stop respecting it, you stop fearing it, you stop thinking about it, and you take it for granted, and that's when something bad happens.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Now, one of the things that we don't think about a lot of times is we don't think necessarily about the gear outside of the fire. I mean, we always talk about, hey, I'm getting the latest G-Whiz Go Fast. I'm getting this gun or that gun with the tritium night sights and the hair trigger and the this and the polished feed ramp and the extended magazine and all the bells and whistles on the pistol. I spent $700, $800, $1,000, $1,200 on my brand new Kimber pistol, and then I turn around and I spend $12.50 buying a corduroy snap inside the waistband, a holster. I mean, I don't understand kind of that thought process. There's got to be some care taken in the gear that you use to carry that firearm, correct?
That's true. I mean, the gear is very important, but really, people try to buy greatness. They spend thousands and thousands of dollars on a gun, but then they don't put any time into training.
Right.
And the best element you have is right between your ears. That's your own head. I can have a $5 holster and make it work perfectly safely with no problem if you're properly trained. But you're right. People do tend to put expensive firearms in cheap holsters.
Right. Well, and I think the training and I'm not really I'd lie. I'm a gear whore, but I mean it's not like that it has to be the latest G-Whiz Go Fast. What I'm saying is, that training goes hand in hand with the ability to understand. If you just put it in a holster and you never train with it, then you don't know whether or not, for example, if that holster will work or not for you. You don't know if you can draw safely, if you can holster safely. You don't know because you've never done any training. You haven't gone through scenarios. You haven't tried to do any of that stuff. The training is really an integral part of that responsibility. I mean, there's rights, and then there's the responsibility that are attached to that right. And you have to be able to go out and train, on a weekly basis, a monthly basis, at least several times a year. You need to go out and do some shooting just to refamiliarize yourself with your firearm on an ongoing basis.
Yes, very true. Even if it's, even if you're just by yourself and you go out to a mound of dirt and you practice doing, 5 draws, a couple times a week, just to make sure that any glitches that might come up, if your shirt's going to get in the way or if your jacket's going to get in the way, and making sure you're not putting your finger on the trigger when you draw it or when you put it away, and that it's easily accessible. You can watch videos, you can talk, but until you do it, you just haven't done it.
Right. One of the things, let's talk a little bit about the benefits of dry fire exercises, because I'll be honest with you, the old axiom, I was always raised with the old, would never drop a hammer on it. You could damage and you could do that. And of course, there's definitely firearms where that is definitely true, but most modern firearms today have the ability to do dry fires. You could use snap caps in some cases where that may not be the case, or dummy cartridges. But for the most part, let's talk a little bit about the benefit of what dry firing practice can do for you in terms of your daily concealed carry.
Well, I'm not a gunsmith. I'm just into a gunsmith as far as Glocks, my Glock armor. But the true gunsmiths tell me that the only gun you're going to damage by dry firing is a rimfire, so a 22 or a 17 HMR or something like that.
Right.
The rest of them, supposedly, it's good to dry fire. Dry firing has a lot of benefits from, it's usually beneficial if you have a friend watch you and critique what you're doing, or have a friend videotape you while you're doing it, while you draw and dry fire. So you're going to be able to review and watch your drawing and presentation of the weapon, and your trigger control with the weapon, as far as if you're pulling it to the left, pulling it to the right, or if you're slapping the trigger real hard, or you're using the trigger reset if it's a semi-automatic pistol. And you can also work on sight alignment. You can put something right across the top of your rear sight, like a penny or a magazine even, and just set it there and make sure you're looking right through that little sight window. And, are you shaking so bad that you're moving the sights all over the target? How are you doing? How is your stance? How is your grip? You can see all of those things.
We're talking with Dean Hazen from the Gun Experts here on Firearms Friday. Dean, the dry firing, one of the things that I really discovered was beneficial to me was on the dry firing, again, the ability to present the firearm properly, to be able to go through the steps a piece at a time, to be able to make sure that I could reholster the firearm, again, making sure, following all the safety rules, keeping your finger out of the trigger guard, doing all those things which, breaking those bad habits. But one of the biggest things that I really seemed to improve on was in malfunction drills, in things that, when things are going right, everything's right. When things are going wrong, things can immediately pear-shape, in a hurry. And being able to work through those things was really a benefit in the dry firing exercises.
Yeah, malfunction drills are great because if you're carrying a semi-automatic, sooner or later it's going to jam. And as you know, there are different levels of jam. Some of them can be cleared very quickly, and some of them, your gun is pretty much turned into a hammer. You might as well throw it.
Right.
Malfunction drills are very beneficial. It's going to happen eventually. And that's one of the reasons I push revolvers so hard on people that don't train a whole lot. Everybody thinks they need a semi-automatic because it's high speed and it's more modern, and they think that revolvers are old school, but they are old school, but they worked for a reason, and they don't usually fail. If they do, you just pull the trigger again.
Right, that's the ultimate point and shoot. That's exactly what it is. Dean Hazen, the Gun Experts, we got links up on our website. I really appreciate you coming in and talking with us as always. Thanks for joining us on Firearms Friday.
Appreciate your time, sir. Thank you.
Thanks, Dean. Appreciate it. We got more coming up, including Sheriff Jim Wilson at 6:45. Plus, we've got more from the KB Wire newsroom. It's all right here. The Michael Duke Show continues with Firearms Friday right after this.